Great, Matt. All right. Well, Kickstarts and others will join us. And thank you all for jumping in. And today we're going to talk about how to improve service delivery using ICT. And let's jump into it. I'm sharing my screen. And if you cannot hear me or cannot see screen, or if you have any technical issues, please type that in chat and Harley will be able to help us. Okay, with that, let's jump into the topic. So welcome all. This is lunch and learn session about dialogue, where, so as always, this is about not me presenting on the topic and we say goodbye. We go through this topic. Please jump in with your perspectives, share questions, share your experiences, and we all are joined here to learn from each other. So I'll focus on the topic, but we'll jump in between and ask questions and really want to learn collaboratively from everyone. This session will be recorded, and by the end of the session, by tomorrow, you will have an email with a link as a reference with the recording, so no need to take any notes. And we start with introductions. Okay, so Karan is coming in. All right, so let's start with introductions. I'll start with myself and then we'll hand over to Harley. So my name is SP. I'm from Bani Consulting. We partner with medium-sized businesses, understand where they are and where they want to be, and we work at technology layer to help them achieve business goals. That's my standard pitch. Over to you, Harley.
Thank you, SP. Hello, everyone. My name is Harley, and I'm the project coordinator of SP. If you encounter any technical issues, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll do my best to assist everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Over to you, Ron.
Hi, everybody. Pleased to be joining you guys and ladies. Yeah, I'm the principal of Acuity AI Advisors. We are a collective of domain experts in the AI space, backed up by graduates from universities in the AI area. We consult mainly to government and to corporates. That's our core area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Charles?
Charles Victor. I'm the principal and the owner of Repose Pty Limited. 53, 54 years of experience in both business requirements and IT.
Great. Thank you, Charles. Mohammed?
Hi, my name is Mohammed. I'm the business support supervisor at Pilbara Metamaya Regional Aboriginal Corporation in Pilbara. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and to be sharing and learning from all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Benjamin? You're on mute.
Hi, I'm Benjamin. Hi, I'm Benjamin. I currently work for Tata Consultancy Services. I've been working in consultancy and startups for the past 10 or 15 years. And yeah, excited to see what everyone has to say.
Thank you, Benjamin. Karan?
Hey, good. Is it morning or afternoon? I think it's afternoon already here in Perth. Hello to everybody on the call. Thanks, SP. So my name is Karen Prinsloo and I work for Fusion 5. Fusion 5 is a business transformation technology company. So we started off in the business application space with ERP systems mainly. I specifically work for the NetSuite line of business at Fusion 5. And in the last few years, we've evolved into the AI data and analytics integration and advisory space, anything IT as well as managed services. So I work closely with SP with a lot of our customers and happy to be on the call. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. Raj, I know you just joined in. If you are comfortable and fully settled in, feel free to introduce yourself. Otherwise, we'll let you settle in and we'll start the topic.
Yeah, sure. Morning, everyone. My name is Raj and I work at Perth Airport. currently the ERP analyst, and yeah, so I've been in the role for a year and a half, and we are growing really, really fast in here. So always, always looking at improvements and leveraging new technology. So yeah, looking forward to this lunch and learn.
Thank you, Raj. Appreciate it.
Nice.
Okay, thank you all. And again, this session is for all of us. Please don't wait as things pop up. Please raise your hands and pop things in the chat. It is about dialogue. Okay, let's get into it. So we start with service delivery, and this session is specifically around consoles. Now, whatever we're going to cover is going to be applicable within other industries as well, but just so we think in one standardized way, so we're not confused between manufacturing and different industries, we focus on local government and consoles, as we all are ratepayers, and we understand holistically what consoles are all about. So if we ask ourselves what consoles are all about, why consoles exist, the main reason, the underlying reason is service delivery. They are offering services in a range of different areas, and this includes but not limited to, say, building approvals, waste management, event management, roads, infrastructure, assets, lights. So many different things that consoles assist their ratepayers of. So the service delivery is the key function of any console or local government. Now we ask ourselves ICT and IT. Now information communication technology, so or IT, we have got systems, portals, dashboard. This is really our infrastructure where we offer technology so we can streamline and improve service delivery, and we can improve the services that consoles are offering. The problem here is the translation gap. What ICT is building and what is required by the community, there is a gap, and that's something we will unpack a little bit. I'll just request if Ron, if you can please put yourself on mute so we can.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the gap is that, and because of this gap, we have these projects that stall and budget gets out of hands and got all these issues. Now, this is the base of our discussion, and we will unpack this in a little bit more detail. But the question is how we justify that it is actually a gap. We may have a gut feeling, but it may not be right. So I've got out and got some stats to really prove the point about this gap. So what community needs and what ICT is building, there is a translation gap. And to prove this point, we've got some stats. We'll quickly go through the stats and we'll unpack into the solution world. Here is the first one. So when we look at federal government, so let me take a highlighter. So when we look citizens who are using digital services and compare federal, state, and local consoles, there is 55.4% who are using digital services when it comes to local consoles, and it is much lower than state and federal. And I was thinking about the stat. It may be because not that federal and state technology or the federal government and state government technology is any better, or they may have a bigger budgets. It may be because local consoles offer better phone and email support. It could be the reason. I don't know, but I don't think we can make a judgment that state and federal technology is any good. We don't know. That's something like a topic for other time. Then we look at some other stats, and 3% of local governments, they are at a digital transformation stage, so they are digitally mature. 82% are yet to be best in class, and then 65% of consoles, they haven't changed. So they did a survey from the ratepayers, and 65% have responded they haven't seen a change in the last 4 years. So this is to prove the point the problem is there, and we keep on going with few more stats. Where residents are stuck, so they are stuck, they can't find information, the language is too complex, there is no timely human support, processes are too time consuming, and no visibility of processes, hence they have to send emails, phones, and increase more work. And from people who like to pay their bills using digital technologies, 56% they don't use because they don't rely or they do not trust the system. So the uptake on digital technologies is quite low when it comes to local governments. And when we ask consuls why we are failing, they are not failing because of technology, they are failing because of culture and readiness, citizen experience, and data challenges. For the consuls who have succeeded, and there were two from the reports I was looking, they were succeeding because of the quick and continuous feedback loop with their citizens. So these stats really prove that the problem is there. What ICT is building is not right fit for what community expects. And I'm not saying it's easy problem to solve, but the problem is there. With this base in mind, we start with our standard process. So how do we start our ICT project? So we'll go through that quickly, but I've got few more in the room as well. Does everyone agree with what we have covered so far? Any questions or anything else you'd like to share?
Could it be related to the fact that like most councils' voting base are like old, like more elderly people, because no one's forced to vote in a council election, and so the people they're trying to appeal to aren't younger people looking for better efficiency?
It could be for the sort of stats I was looking at. This is the response from the people who are ratepayers, and it doesn't have to be elected members, or doesn't have to be certain age. There were people who are in the community, and they were asked to respond what the feedback is. So I personally believe it's unlikely because of age or demographics, because it was not just WA, it was Eastern states. So the two consuls which were ranking highly, they were from memory Eastern states.
I did work in councils years ago, and I did find that was often motivation. But there was also that desire not to change or like not to do something new if something already worked was a big one.
Absolutely. I think that is certainly the case. And that's something we'll unpack this in a little bit more detail, like a standard way of doing things and how it may not be fitting as what we want from the investment we are making. Now let's jump into our standard process, and we are all aware of being in technology or related area. We have all seen this, we still do it. So our standard process is we have a problem, we go and buy a solution. So we say it is ICT solution, it could be a CRM, ERP, a website, it could be anything. So we have a problem, we start finding the solution, finding a product that will solve the given problem. Then we look at data, we migrate data, customize the data based upon the solution we have, and we feed the data into the system. We look at the processes and we bend the processes based upon what the solution we have procured cannot do, and then we land it to or deploy it in production and hope for the best that it will fit our community needs. It sounds standard and it sounds like nothing wrong with it, because if we have a problem, we find the solution, we put data and processes, and then we ship it and start to support it, and we say and claim we are done. This is majority of the times what our standard process is. I think we are much better off flipping it, and the framework should be this, where we start with service, we understand what the service is all about, what are the different ways community may require that service, what are the different mediums through which they may approach, what their expectations are from the progress update, how they like to see that progress update, and what the demographics are in terms of digital education and how much human touch is required. So we understand the service overall, and then we understand underlying processes and what data is actually required to fulfill that service. And at last, we look at the ICT systems that will fit our needs for service, underlying processes, and data. So in this instance, ICT or IT systems is an engine. It is not the end goal as we have here, where we buy something and we try to fit based upon what we have bought, and we ship it and assume that that should fit, tick all boxes. This conceptually is a better model because we are starting with end in mind, and then we're working backwards so we get the right outcome for the services we are offering. Now, this looks good on paper. In reality, I know, and we all know we have challenges, but I don't think that should be a good reason not to adapt to this. I'll stop there. Any feedback, any questions, or anything anyone likes to share on these two slides?
Yeah, SB, what have you delivered to any councils this concept as yet?
Not specifically, and that's why I said it is conceptual and it's not practical. But I'll try to unpack this, how we can actually do it, so it doesn't remain conceptual. I think there are certain things we can do, and I'll sort of unpack this in a little bit more detail with all of you. But as it stands now, I haven't done that because when I start to say service and we work backwards, I think it's much bigger shift when it comes to consoles, and the budgets and timeline doesn't support this model, and it appears to be a research project rather than a IT implementation. So there are challenges there. So that's hence I said it's a conceptual model. Okay, so with
sorry, SB, I'm thinking the two middle sections, process and data.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is, and Ron may back me up here. So I think there's probably with data models and the semantic layers and ontology that's needed in data, and how AI needs to be leveraged once that data is in place. Those two areas, I think, is where there's a big gap, because we're okay with knowing what service we need to deliver. We perhaps have a strategy, an overarching strategy, or a technology strategy. But I think that in the process and data areas, people doesn't know what the best practice is. People doesn't know, or companies doesn't know about how agents can automate certain mundane tasks. And that, I think, is where there's a bit of a handbrake at the moment, is, what the process and data should look like and what people in organizations know currently, and with it moving so fast.
Yep. I agree with you, Karen. But I would like to extend AI as a layer underneath everything. So AI as a layer when we are trying to understand service, all these service model, operating model related to service. So I would like to use AI within services space so we holistically understand. That was not possible 2 years ago because we don't have AI. Now we have AI, so we can get data from diverse places, things which we are using, not using, what customer complaints. We get all that data and try to learn about service in a bit more detail. And similarly, processes and data. So I think AI to me is an underlying layer for everything we do.
Yeah. I think SB, what we're seeing is that businesses and organizations almost need to redesign their processes.
Yep.
If you might just come in there, whilst I agree with you, Karen, what we find is that if you've got an underlying service like business or anything, you've got structures and layers. What we try and do with our projects or with government is that we say artificial intelligence is the overlying layer that automates a lot of things in their processes, because you don't want to disrupt what is the norm for that particular council. So we look at it generally and we look at the bottlenecks, like you explained, and we say, okay, what is your process in the whole of this? How can we automate or introduce AI to improve that service?
Yes, so for me, that exactly is what it is. There's a lot of process redesign.
Yep, certainly. I think there is, yes, I think we all agree that that's certainly an opportunity for everything we do from a process redesign perspective. Anything else before we move forward?
Oh, good. Thanks, SB.
Great. Thank you. Okay, now we covered this.
Sorry, SP. Just one
Karen.
point is, look, from local government perspective. Sorry, I'll turn on my camera. A little bit late joining, but from a local government perspective, I find that the technology partners are very poorly aligned to local government service process and flows. They do pre-canned financial systems. They do pretty well. And yet local government services probably haven't changed too drastically at their core and fundamental in probably 40 years. And there's the appetite to engage with the market is quite limited because of that. The solutions are actually poorly thought out. I mean, like delivering local government services, I think we could all anticipate what type of services are in there, and what the needs are, and what the processes, what the forms, what the data model, what the record model, what the compliance model is. These are all known knowns. But I don't see any product or service that's particularly compelling that is well developed and well practiced. So there's a disconnect, particularly in WA, where we deal with small populations which feed onto small budgets, and so it's a collective, not failure, but underperform, if you like, within the sector that everyone has to own, be you a client organization or be you a software supplier or consultant in that. Just a point.
Yep, no, that's good feedback, Kieran. So that just based upon the feedback we have so far, I'll try to conclude this and see what practical steps we can take to make a difference where we are. So this is our standard process, which fits the standard ERP, CRM, website, anything we implement, that sort of methodology at a high level. This is what we're doing. What we need should be this. So this is conceptual, may not be that practical. So what we should do or what we can do or what we can choose to do is we start with this because this is everyone understands, but we have an eye on the services. So once we have delivered, we get into this feedback loop. So we deliver the product, we measure, listen, and improve. I think this is one thing which we are ignoring or missing altogether. So project teams are formed to deliver this. They deliver the service. We dismantle the project team and see phase one is done or the project is over, and then it is handed over to support. But it never reaches that after delivery, we measure what impact, what problems, and what improvements we need to make. So we measure, listen, and that continuous improvement within the product and service should be just a continuous cycle. And by that, I believe we deliver the initial product through the standard. We have our eye on understanding the services from the end customer, and we do it through this continuous feedback loop, and we find a mechanism to have our project teams in a lighter capacity intact and budgets available so we can facilitate that continuous improvement. So we deliver a project in or product in a year, the product will be fully done or mature enough where we say it's fully done in another 2 years, and we have budgets to support that. Again, I, I think this should be a norm within on a client side to say when a project is a year, it is a year is a product delivery. Another 2 years, the budget and resources I need to secure as a director to really make a difference. And I think that's one of the ways we can facilitate that feedback loop and improve our systems and processes and get better maturity and investment from the things which we have invested in. So Ron, coming back to that, no, I haven't, but I think that's something I strongly believe in, and that's something I help my customers to start thinking in it once.
Sure. I think just on that, SB, is that the way we approach it is that, even with businesses, they're all different. They have different journeys. So what we go through is firstly assessment of where they are. Next, we go through discovery stage, because through that discovery stage, you can find out all the bottlenecks. And that discovery stage, we speak to all levels, not only to the CEO, but to staff as well. And then we start looking and saying, okay, here are the bottlenecks. So what are the solutions? Then we provide a roadmap together with those solutions. So, whilst we can have standard models and say all councils operate on this basis, they're still subtly different. So I believe this discovery stage should be coming as one of the key or the forefront of this whole service delivery.
I agree with you. That should be standard. I think, before we invest anything, discovery. Yep, that's a good point, Ron.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so that's the framework and the feedback loop. The core message is this. So we don't need more fancy tools or dashboards or portals. We need better alignment, and that alignment is possible if we talk to the right people, if we do not assume that go live is the end of the project, if we understand that after go live there is time, resources required for this feedback loop to occur, and we mature our product and services over a period of time, and we have a budget and resources for it. Okay, so the key message is we start with community before we get into any budgets, any projects, or any committees. We have right people we talk to, we have alignment, and that's where once we get to talk to right people, we'll have right decisions and we move forward things quickly. Few things to ponder. So there is, do we have, so when this is related to alignment, so do we have community representatives as our key stakeholders? Do we fully understand the service before we are configuring anything in ERP? Do we understand community experience, or what community expects from us for a given service, because the experience for waste management is much different for a building approval, which is much different for the light which is not working in my street. So these services are diverse, they are different, experience must be different as well. Then we jump into the service delivery aspect, where if we have a problem, which is a customer request comes to a console, then our success measure of success is much different. So our KPIs tend to be closure rate, speed of delivery, and a number of options we give to in our console. Instead, I think we should focus on, rather than we say how many tickets we have closed, we understand what the experience was for the work which we or services we have offered, rather than we say speed of delivery, now how quickly we have done work. We, like, again, AI will help. So with technology, we say what was the root cause of the 100 tickets related to waste management we have closed. So we focus on the root cause and not so much of just speed of delivery. And similarly, giving multiple options, we say we think about engagement. So again, from organizational perspective, this is more measurable, but may not be the right measures of success, because they will keep on continuing more work and everyone will be busy. But the value is in these specific, so experience, root cause, and engagement matrix. And this is something we should be focusing on to measure actual success. Okay, so these are closing thoughts, and then we'll open for questions and discussion. We start with end in mind. That's what we have covered in the session. We engage people who matter early enough. So community, they become part of as key stakeholder of all the project work, and we implement the right metrics to measure our success. So this is specific to consoles, but I believe whatever we have covered on this session, that can be implemented in all organizations. All right, that's the end, and we are open for discussion. We have got another 8-9 minutes, and I'll stop sharing my screen. Anything anyone likes to say, share, ask, question?
I think it's interesting as to whether you start anew, but sometimes there's a lot of complexity in terms of inherited digital assets that don't align and systems that don't align or are subject to replacement. It's interesting to try and identify where the tipping point is, where your investment in effort is actually better aligned to new technologies and AI and modern, while also rather than fixing something that's probably irretrievably broken or so decayed that there's a trade-off. Where's the value in your effort in limited resources? That's what you propose there makes sense, obviously. But to actually convert that into a strategy for action and a planned program can be complex if you're trying to start with shared drives, systems that need replacement, record systems that are decayed, etc. Then the design challenge is substantial. That's a point I was just going to make.
Yep. And I believe, like as Ron mentioned on the call, this initial discovery. So Ron, you want to say anything?
Yeah. Just adding to what just Kieran said, it's a matter of finding out where the bottlenecks are. I mean, the experiences, each council different, bigger budgets, small budgets, and if they've got small budgets, through the discovery, you will find that out. Whilst what you've shown there, SB, it's great to monitor and keep track. But we in our system, we have an 8-stage process, and I'm happy to share it through you of how we deal with it through step 1 to see where they are with technology. We do an assessment, you get a scorecard of that. Then we go through discovery. That's if they want to do the discovery. And through that, it's a long interview process, speaking to all levels, because we find the staff are the ones that are going to apply the systems. So they are the ones, not the CEO, who understand where the real problems are. And we find they become very open about the problems. And then from that, we come out with a solution or a roadmap or a strategy to implement systems. But we never try and to change any of their current formats, but to highlight it because they're still operating. But it's not applying, for example, technology and AI to any form of business. It's not an overnight thing. It's ongoing. So and coming back to budgets, we would say you could change the planning process, right? What applications can you use there? So what we do is set a budget for that, all right? And they say, okay, that's the weakest point. But there may be other areas. So slowly we put the roadmap up and we have budget aligned to that. And then the board or the councillors can now decide which ones of those they should implement first as a priority.
No, that sounds good. We've got in the chat, so Kieran mentioned, good point, Ron, if you're looking, Ron. Thanks for sharing. There is some feedback from Benjamin. I'll go through that. Anything else anyone like to share? Nope. Okay, great. So I think we'll wrap this up here.
I was going to say, a lot of what we're talking about is the difference between agile and waterfall, and whether businesses are comfortable with doing that or not. So I mean, it's that feedback loop. So you deliver something, and then when you've delivered it, you actually wait for that feedback loop to go like, was this perfect? Can we improve on it? And then so you've got that kind of like maintenance cycle after the delivery is completed. I'm not saying it is pure agile, and definitely in local government, pure agile is not something that they're going to be supporting, but it is that kind of leaning towards that concept of let's deliver something that is what we think is right, but we're not going to deliver it so stringently and tell you that once we're done, we're leaving. Because we're going to then spend a year trying to work out what we could have improved on, because none of those interviews are ever going to turn out to be 100% of what someone needs, and they're not going to understand what they want until they get to see the solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I generally don't use the word agile. It just scare people and say, oh, we are not this, we are that. So, but the intent is really, as you mentioned, Benjamin, and thanks for sharing, it is really when we deliver a project and the product is live, we do not celebrate and say we are done. We should take at least few months and a year or 2 years to get that product really embedded in the fabric of the organization. And to do that, we need resources, we need planning, and that's something budgets must be available. Otherwise, we are just flicking from one project to another. It's a mindset and planning thing which the decision makers must understand and accommodate for. Great feedback. I agree with you, Benjamin.
Yeah, and I think that's where you get trapped into what some of those businesses have done. Is what they do is they embed like their product into your business, and then they want CRs to improve everything. So wait until budget time, and then they put a bunch of CRs in, you improve it, and then they wait till next budget time, and they put a bunch of CRs in and improve it. And it's just you never really get what you wanted without that stable, what you've been discussing. So I really liked what you were discussing. That was
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And SP, I think the other big thing is you got to have that continuous optimization and improvement mindset. So having regular whether it's quarterly, twice a year, or annual health checks or reviews on your systems to make sure you leverage the newest technologies. I think that also I'm finding that really steers customers towards optimizations. If you just implement the ERP, gone live, and that's it, you know that doesn't work.
I agree. That's good feedback, Karen. That's great. And I think sorry, anyone in? It's you, Karen. This is really good. This is sort of conversation we must have, and people on the call. This is strictly no sales. We're not here to sell to each other. We are here to understand each other, and when time comes, anyone can talk to anyone. So this is really, we talk about topics that matter, and it is not me just talking. It is we hear from everyone and we learn from everyone. So please feel free to connect with each other, talk to each other, and we love you to see in all of you in the next session. So Harley will get back to us with the upcoming session. And again, thank you all from bottom of my heart. I think it really added value to my life. So thank you.
Thank you.